Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 132. I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fiber Nymph on Ravelry, Plurk, and Instagram. So today is Friday. Yay. I don't know why I get so excited about Friday because I usually work over the weekend anyway, so it's not like it's really a big deal that it's Friday, but it's Friday. It's August 22nd. Yesterday was my mom's birthday, so happy birthday, Mom. She doesn't watch very often, but sometimes, so not like I haven't already told her happy birthday. Anyway, let's see. We had one new person join the Ravelry group, the 90% Knitting group, and that was Sharon from New Zealand. So thank you for saying hello, Sharon, and introducing yourself, and welcome. All right, I've got things to show you. I did a fair amount of knitting this week, so let's move into that. First of all, I've got a finished object. I finished the potato chip scarf. Isn't it cute? It's just like so boingy, all corkscrewy and everything. I have not taken finished object pictures of it yet for my project page. I kind of need Emma here to do that. I don't know what I'm going to do once she leaves. I'm going to have Muffin model my stuff or something. That'll be pleasant, won't it? Anyway, it's really short. I mean, I knew it would be because it's only made with one skein of worsted weight yarn. So, but it'll be fine for like tucking inside a coat or something, you know, just to keep your neck a little bit warm. I think it's cute. I'm really not sure how much wear I will get out of it. I'm not really a ruffly person. I didn't make it because I wanted to wear it. I made it because I thought the pattern was cool and I wanted to try it out. It may end up going to school with Emma. I don't know. We'll see. So if she wants it, she can have it. Otherwise, maybe it'll be a gift at some point for someone. But anyway, I'm happy with how it turned out. I used pretty much the entire skein. I wanted to make it as long as I possibly could. There were 218 yards, I believe, on the skein. It was the skein of Spinning Fates Calliope that I had in the blue jeans colorway. And I had less than a yard left by the time I was done. I was playing yarn chicken. The little repeats, the short row repeats, didn't take a lot of yarn, but I think had I done one more, I really would have been scraping to get it bound off reasonably. And I've already done that with things where I'm actually ending up like weaving in the cast-on tail and then using that to finish binding something off. I mean, this was only worked over 20 stitches, so it wasn't like I had a super long distance to go, but it was fun. And I'll tell you what, the one thing I did with this, because after a while it was easy and fun and I didn't have to think about it much, but it was almost one of those projects where it's too easy and I started to get a tiny bit bored with it. So about halfway through it, I started knitting backwards. So instead of turning my work every time to do the short rows, I did the 8 stitches, and then instead of turning it and knitting back the 8 stitches, I left it and I worked it. I knit backwards. And I just did that for the whole short row section, then knit across, then I turned it around. I learned how to do that a long time ago, I think when I did an entrelac project. Although in entrelac I was purling backwards, I wasn't knitting backwards. But since you're working a lot of really short little rows in entrelac, it gets to be tedious to keep turning them. So it's easier if you can learn how to do your purling back without turning it around. I'm sure there are probably YouTube videos out there on that. I just kind of winged it and taught myself. I remember I was in one of the Sanguine Griffins classes one time. I think it was at a Loopy U, like a spring fling, and that was one of the things she showed us how to do, was how to knit backwards. I had already done it prior to being in her class, but she showed us a few more things you could do backwards too. Not that I remember any of it, but this wasn't too difficult. I learned it, and it made me slow down, definitely. I probably would have gotten it finished faster had I not been doing that, but it was more interesting doing it that way. So, you know, there's never anything wrong with trying to pump up your skills a little bit and do something that you're not used to doing. So, the finished potato chip scarf, and that pattern was by Barbara Aguiar, A-G-U-I-A-R, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry, so you can look that up if you want. Sorry, and I knit it on US 9 needles, which turned out to be perfectly fine. I like the drape of the scarf. It's not too tight. It's not too loose. It's perfect. So that was a wonderful little project, and that's basically my knit along project for this month, because this month is neck and upper back in the head to toe knit along. Obviously I'm not, you know, putting my name in the hat for any prizes or anything since I'm hosting it, but at least I got a knit along project done in the same time frame that it's supposed to be done. That's always exciting because I'm not always that great with knit alongs, you know that. And I'm really thirsty today. So please bear with me and my Stockinette Zombies Zombie Knit Apocalypse cup that is now dripping condensation all over my keyboard, which that's fabulous because keyboards love moisture. Anyway, okay, next. I also worked on the vanilla bean sock that I showed you last week. I've made quite a bit of progress, actually. I was just going to do, well, I was going to do a different pattern. I told you that. That didn't work out. So then I was just going to do a plain stripe pattern. But then when I got to the first color change after the cuff, I decided to do the vanilla bean, that little slip stitch vanilla bean motif, which I love. And it makes it just a little bit more interesting. So I finished the cuff. I did my usual 6-inch cuff. And I decided instead of doing an afterthought heel, which is what I've been doing lately on stripy socks, that I was just going to go back to my regular slip stitch, heel flap, heel turn, and then, you know, gusset decreases. I haven't done one of those socks in a while, and I really like a traditional heel flap. I mean, I like the afterthought heel. It's fine, and it fits me well, but there's something about that slip stitch heel flap that I really like. It's nice and cushy. It wears really well. And I guess it was the first thing I learned to do when I learned to knit socks, so maybe that's part of it too. The only thing I'm not really sure what happened, because I mean this is knitting up fairly nicely. Now this yarn is the 3U's Twisted in Fiber, their euphoric sock. It's discontinued because they're no longer dying, but it's a skeina that I had in my stash, and this is the Velma colorway. It's a Scooby-Doo colorway. I'm knitting it on US 1.5s. Now I told you last week this feels like it's a heavier fingering weight, and it is. It feels definitely heavier than mine, my bounce base. So 1.5s is making a really nice fabric for the cuff part, but for some reason, and I'm not sure why, once I got to doing the heel turn, it's really sort of loose. And that's not a good place to have your stitches be loose, because that's the bottom of the back of your heel and it kind of gets a lot of wear. And as soon as I was done with the heel turn, I mean, my stitches are nice and even and tight again. So you can see, I don't know what happened. I guess, I don't know. I guess my tension just changed when I was doing that little back and forth short rowy section. It's funny, I have not done this type of a heel in a really long time. And I remembered how to do the heel flap, but I hadn't done the heel turn. And you know what, turning a heel is always like magic to me. I had to actually look it up to make sure I was remembering it correctly. And I use the Yarn Harlot's just basic sock recipe out of her knitting rules book. That's the very first knitting book I ever purchased once I started knitting, and it's an excellent book. I love it because she gives you recipes as opposed to patterns. You know, basic, just here, do this, kind of do this, you can do this if you want. You know, it's great. It works for my way of thinking to have that. So anyway, I looked it back up, and I was off a little bit. I had misremembered something, so I'm glad I looked it up. But it went easy, and I'm past the gusset decreases now. So I'm back down to my original 64 stitches. I was a little concerned that maybe since I was knitting on 64 stitches, this might end up being a little bit loose on me, on my foot, but I tried it on today, and it's actually not. It's perfect, and once it's been washed, it'll snug up a little bit more, so I'm not worried about it. But I'm definitely halfway through the first sock, and I'm enjoying it. I love sock knitting. It's so much fun. So that is the first sock. And the other thing I pulled out and worked a little bit on this week was my 1-row lace scarf, which you have not seen in a while because I haven't worked on it in a while. But I pulled it out, and actually the last time you saw it, it was still on the other needles. I can't remember. I think I was knitting it on Addie's to begin with, but this lace really needed pointier needles, so I had purchased the Hiya Hiya Sharps from the Loopy U a while back. Boy, it's been a while because that was back right after the zombie knit apocalypse in June. June. So I got the needles and they were in the bag with the project, but I hadn't like knit on it again to knit it onto the new needles until just this past week. So it probably does not look a whole lot different to you than it was. I think maybe I put like 5 or 6 more rows on it. But being lace, it's taking a while to get any length. And once it's blocked, it'll be open a little bit more. But it's still fun. Again, it's an easy pattern. It's not one that I can do if I'm really being distracted by much of anything else, though, even being a very easily repeatable and memorizable pattern. Matter of fact, I was pretty proud of myself because I don't have the pattern printed out in here. I don't know where it went. So when I picked it up, I sort of read the last row. I read what I did and just picked it up from there. I love it when I can do stuff like that because I can't always. Anyway, this is the 1-row lace scarf pattern by Turvid. That is the pattern author's name or designer's name on Ravelry. And I'm using my Fiber Nymph Dye Works Elegance lace base. And this is the A Murder of Crows colorway. That's what it looks like in the pattern or in the project. And here's the ball. So I think it's coming out fairly representative of how it looks in the ball. So anyway, this is going to be a long-term project. It's going to take me a while to get through 875 yards of lace weight yarn, to be sure. But at least it saw a little love this week. And it's in my whale bag from Busy Mind Designs. I'm not sure if she's still up on Etsy or not, because I know when I purchased this bag and one other bag, she was like saying once everything was out of her shop, she was closing shop. I don't know if there's anything left in the shop or not. But you might want to check it out. I love her bags. And I'm sad to see her stop making them. At any rate, let's see. Those are the only 3 projects I really worked on this week. I do have plans to start another one. It's almost fall. I'm looking towards fall, even though it's gotten really, really hot out lately. I've actually been running the air conditioning the last couple of days. I've hardly run my air conditioning this summer. It's been awesome. But I've had it on, I think I started running it Wednesday because it just got really sticky again. Plus I was dying. And when I'm dying, that just makes even more humidity in the air. And so yeah, it's been on. And so I've woken up the last 2 mornings just horribly achy. Air conditioning is great because it makes you comfortable while you're sleeping, but it makes my joints hurt like crazy. And I don't know what's up with that. I've had that before in past summers. I tend to get it in the summer, and I always blame it on the air conditioning, so I don't know. Whatever. All that to say, the air conditioning's running, and I'm starting to look towards fall because we've had such a lovely fall-like summer in the last month or so. And people are starting to talk about Rhinebeck, and I'm not going this year. I've gone the last 3 years, and I've just decided this year I don't have time. I've traveled so much this year. I still have my trip to North Carolina to make to take Emma to school. I just don't want to travel anymore this year. So Rhinebeck is not happening for me, which is fine. But I always do a Rhinebeck sweater, and I don't have a Rhinebeck sweater to make, so I've decided I'm doing a not a Rhinebeck sweater for this fall, because it's not like you have to go to Rhinebeck to make yourself a sweater. So I went through my queue to see what I could find that I might want to make, and I realized I've never finished that deco that I started last year. That was originally going to be my Rhinebeck sweater last year, that Kate Davies pattern. I think I got through 1 ball of yarn. It's a sport weight sweater. And I never finished it, and I'm not sure if I will continue or not. I remember I made some design changes. Yeah, I don't know. It may end up getting ripped out. That poor yarn. I've tried to make so many things with that yarn, and it just never works out. And I like the pattern, but I'm not in the mood to do that. If you've been paying attention to my knitting projects this year, other than that lace scarf that I just showed you, they've really been things that I can finish up quickly because I don't have a lot of knitting time, and my focus and attention span seems to be sort of short these days. So I need something that I can knit up fairly quickly. So that meant like at least a DK weight, if not a worsted weight. I won't make a sweater for myself out of anything heavier than a worsted weight because it just gets too bulky, and I'm already a big girl. I've got boobs. Anyway, and I feel like when I knit anything out of something heavier yarn-wise, I just feel like a linebacker, so I'm not doing that. But I decided to, on a worsted weight pattern, and this was in my queue, and this is called, I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce this, Chandale. I'm going to say Chandale, by Triona Murphy. And this picture is, oh, there you go. That's a little bit better. There's a better picture of it. Let me see. Here, I like this one better. They printed out a little dark, but let's see if I can get it to focus for you. There you go. It's got cables, horseshoe cables going up both front panels, and the sleeves have them as well. Yeah. So both the fronts and then down the sleeves have the horseshoe cable. And I really like the idea of this pattern because it's knit all in one piece. So it's bottom up with raglan sleeves, so no seaming, which honestly, that's not a complaint for me because I don't mind seaming. I actually think that seamed sweaters tend to be more structurally sound, I guess. They have better structure. And they seem to fit me a little bit better. Raglan sleeves, I always tend to have to play with a little bit, and they always sort of feel droopy to me. So we'll see how this one does. I'm hoping, because this one involves cables, and cables pull everything in anyway, that might help mitigate that issue. But anyway, I'm going to give it a try. And the yarn I decided to use is my Cozy Base, and I dyed up a sweater's lot of this color, which is the Sunken Treasure Gold. I was so tempted to do a green again, but last year's Rhinebeck sweater was out of green, and I didn't want it. No, not last year. 2 years ago, it was out of green. I'm sorry. That was that Bridget jacket that I made. Talk about a heavy sweater. Holy moly. My that was a non-superwash. That was my Elemental 3.0 base, and that one tends to be a little heavier. It knits up heavier than my regular worsted weight base. And that was really a bulky sweater. My biggest issue with sweaters is getting them to fit the shoulders. I'm broad, but if I knit according to the measurements in the pattern for my bust, which is what most sweaters are knit according to, I have to somehow size down for my shoulders because I'm not as broad as my bust would say I should be when it comes to pattern sizing. So, and this one's going to be interesting anyway because I'm actually in between two different sizes on this one. There's a 44 and a 48, and I fall right in between there bust-wise. So the good thing about it is that it is knit all in one piece, bottom up, and so you can adjust those areas where you'd either need more space or less space. So I will probably knit the 48 and then just decrease more up here in the top to keep the shoulders from being super wide and droopy on me. We'll see how that goes. My other thought, however, is I could go probably with the 44, and instead of doing the buttons, because it's got a pretty wide button band on it, but instead of doing those buttons, because you see how it's pulling on her, I don't like that. I hate when sweaters do that. You can get around that by putting like grosgrain ribbon on your button bands on the inside. However, the buttons are only up there at the top. And I have two metal closures. I can't remember what they're called, but they're like the hook kind of closures. They're decorative pewter closures. I bought them and I never have used them on anything. And I may do those on the top in those two spots, in which case the button bands won't overlap. They'll be open. So doing a 44 might actually work out better because then I would have that open space. I don't know. I'm still thinking about that. I'm going to swatch. I know, I hardly ever swatch, but I would really like to be able to wear this sweater instead of just be frustrated with it. But it's funny because, you know, I decided not to do the green because I did a green sweater already. But then I dyed this up, and I remembered last year, I mean, that Shalom cardi that I did, this was the main color. I mean, I put orange in it also, but this was the main color. Almost. I mean, it wasn't this yarn. It was, what was it? Cascade Eco Plus. So it was a big again, they're the bulky weight. I feel like a linebacker when I wear that sweater. I like it a lot, but it was a bulky weight yarn. So this is, I love this color though. I mean, most people I know do not gravitate towards yellows, but I love yellows, especially these golden kind of muted yellows. So I've got that sweater from last year. I'll have this one, and I have another one that I did out of Elspeth Levold silky wool in a very similar color to this several years ago. It's a lighter weight one though. I mean, Elspeth Levold silky wool I think is maybe a DK at the heaviest. I don't think it's sport. I don't know. But anyway, I like this color. What can I say? After I dyed this, I thought, oh, I should have done like a really deep rusty red, like my iron oxide red that I do. I thought I had dyer's remorse, and I thought, oh. And then I thought, oh, maybe I could over dye this in that, and then it would have like that multi-tone going. And then I thought, no, I'm just going to make this sweater out of this. If I want to do one out of iron oxide, I will make myself a second sweater, but let me get through one at a time. So anyway, I just dyed these yesterday. They were dry this morning, so I have not even had a chance to wind any into a ball, let alone start swatching, but that will be on my agenda here soon. So stay tuned to see how the Chandel, I'm going to call it Chandel sweater turns out. And if I'm mispronouncing it, at least hopefully I will consistently mispronounce it the same week to week. Alrighty, that is all my knitting projects. No spinning again this week, sorry. Let's talk about the head to toe KAL. That is moving along nicely. Many of you are finishing your August projects, which are neck and upper back projects. So shawlettes, scarves, cowls. I'm seeing a lot of honey cowls in their finished object thread. Just a reminder, your project has to be started and finished within the month you're knitting it. So for August, the neck and upper back things had to have been started on or after August 1st, have to be finished on or before August 31st. I'm going through the finished object no chatter thread pretty regularly and just double checking everybody's things, and I have unfortunately had to delete some, and I've written to people and let them know. I think I mentioned that last week too, just to keep it, you know, according to the rules. So anyway, keep working on those. You still have a little over a week. So a week from Sunday is your last day to finish the knitting. I will leave the thread open through Monday, September 1st for you to post your finished picture, but the knitting actually has to be finished by August 31st. So you have that. What else? Oh, well, September, then. Start thinking about September. I have not decided yet what I'm going to do. September's month theme is arms and hands. So that would be, you know, mitts, gloves, mittens, gauntlets, wristlets, bracelets if you do knitted jewelry, like beaded jewelry or something, or not even beaded. So I was reading my description for that one. I also put shrugs on for arms and hands. I'm not exactly sure why, because as I'm thinking about it, that almost seems more like a back, like an upper back kind of thing. I must have been thinking about the sleeve part of it. I don't know. So if you're doing, I'm leaving it as is. I'm not moving that into this month because it's way too late for that. So it will be a September thing if you do a shrug. Hopefully your shrug has some sleeves that cover the arms. I don't know. A lot of shrugs don't have sleeves now that I'm thinking about that. So whatever. Read the guidelines and you'll know what you can knit and contribute to that one. And as always, you know, please continue to post any of your large body objects. I've been watching those go up too. And again, those have to have been started on or before July 1st, because that's when the whole head to toe knit along started. So that's your window. You just have a 4-month window there. So between July 1st through October 31st for your full body, or your, yeah, full body object. And again, you know, the yardage thing is a little wonky because I've been saying that like these monthly things should be something that's using like 600-ish yards or less. And then to qualify as a large body object, I said like 1,000-ish yards or more. Well, obviously there's a gap in between there. And I know someone posted something in the, I think it was in the whole body I'm going to say it was in the whole body thread, their finished object, and it was over 600 yards, so that's perfectly applicable as far as I'm concerned. It was, I think, a large shawl, you know, or a long shawl or scarf, I don't know, but it used more than 600 yards. I'm fine with that. If that's where you want to qualify that, I don't have a problem with that. If you have a question about whether your object falls into one category or another, just PM me. I'll be happy to tell you what I think. You just can't post the same object in 2 different places. Like it can't be, you know, in the neck or upper back thing and large object, even though your large object might cover your neck and upper back. You understand? There's the differentiation there. So basically I'm going with like an adult-sized finished garment or shawl. That would be considered a large body object. So, you know, I'm trying to not make this like super picky, stringent rules. I mean, we need guidelines, but it's supposed to be fun. So let's not overthink it. And if you're on the boards and you're looking at things and you see something that you think maybe doesn't qualify, it might be something I missed because I am really trying to keep track. But feel free to PM me. And let me know that you think maybe something isn't right, and I'll check into it. But just know that I am checking the finished object boards, and I'm trying to keep a good tab on that so that everything's on the up and up. So anyway, alrighty. The last thing I wanted to talk about, I started a new thread in the 90% Knitting group today about fall festivals and events. Like I just said a little bit ago, I'm not going to Rhinebeck this year, which I'm a little sad about, but it's okay for the reasons I already mentioned. And so, but I'm hearing a lot of people start to talk about Rhinebeck. People are talking about the Rhinebeck sweaters and their plans for meeting up with people at Rhinebeck. And, you know, that is all the fun stuff and what they're going to look for at Rhinebeck. So I was just wondering, you know, are you guys going to any fall events, whether it's Rhinebeck or something else, something closer to where you live? The only thing I'll really be going to this fall is Indie Knit and Spin, which is right here in Pittsburgh, and I'm vending at it, so obviously that I will be there. So, you know, let me know. I'd like to hear about it. Feel free to chime in on that thread and let me know what kind of fiber or yarn fun event you're going to this fall. Maybe we'll find something that we don't know about and we want to go to. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the 90% section of the show. 10%, let's see. What have I done in the past week or so since you heard from me last? I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy with Christopher last weekend. That was a really good movie. I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. It was funny. I don't know what I was expecting. I think I was expecting something more along the lines of the Avengers, and like the individual Avengers movies or whatever. They have their comedic elements in them, definitely, but they seem to be a little bit more serious than this movie was. Chris Pratt is hilarious. I love him from Community, and he was awesome in this movie. And it was just, the whole thing was so funny. I loved it. It was a really good movie, good story, such as it was. It was almost, it kind of reminded me of maybe like a cross between the Avengers and Star Wars, maybe. The newer Star Wars movies, not the old ones. That's just my own way of thinking about it. So anyway, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm trying to get Emma to go see it with me again because I'd like to go see it and she hasn't seen it yet. So we might do that at some point. Speaking of Emma, it was her birthday on Monday. She's turned 18. All my babies are grown up. They're all adults. They can all vote. They can all buy lottery tickets. And as her cousin texted her on her birthday morning, also reminded her that she can now go to prison for her crimes as an adult. Thank you for that. Like, I'm not sure where that came from, but it was sort of funny. So we went out to dinner. That was yummy. We had a fun time. Her friend Heather came along with us. We went to BD's Mongolian Grill for dinner. I don't know if you have one of those near you, but oh my goodness, they are so good. It's one of those places where you go in and they have like different sort of salad bar or food bar type places. They give you a bowl and you go over and you pick your meat or your fish or whatever you want for that, and noodles, or yeah, I guess basically noodles on there. Then you go to the next one, it has veggies and different things like that. And then you go to the next one and you pick sauces and spices that you want to have mixed in with it. And then you go over to the big cooking area. So it's almost like if you go to a Japanese restaurant, you have the hibachi cooking. It's sort of like that, except it's a big stone. It's a big round cooking stone surface in the center of this area, and these guys are cooking. You know, they take your bowl and they throw it on there, and they're cooking a bunch of different people's all at one time. And you know, then it comes back to you, and then they'll give you rice at your table or whatever you want, tortillas. It's so delicious. Oh my goodness. I've been there a few times and love it. So we did that, and it's really funny because, you know, being her birthday, we're not big embarrass you type people in our family. We've never been like having people sing happy birthday to you in restaurants or anything. But I did that at the cooking area. There's a gong, and so if you tell the cook that you're celebrating something while he's cooking your food, he'll go over and bang the gong really loud and then yell out. So he's like, he banged the gong and yelled, "Hey, we're celebrating this young lady's birthday. Everybody say happy birthday to Emma." And so the whole place, you know, basically says happy birthday. And so I did do that to her, and she stared at me and was going to kill me, but she was fine with it. It was funny. She actually went there with friends last year for her birthday, and they had the whole place sing happy birthday to her. So this was a little bit better. But then we went to Cheesecake Factory afterwards for dessert, and I did not tell them that was her birthday, so she was spared having people sing to her there. But I'll tell you this is a really funny story. Her brother, Christopher, took her out for her birthday as well last weekend, and they went to it's a pizza place near here, like a coal-fired pizza place, and he took her out, and when they got there, yeah, he told the waitress, "Hey, it's my sister's birthday. Can you have people sing to her?" And the waitress is like, "Oh, sure." And Emma's like, "Can you please not do that? Please not do." And the waitress is like, "Oh, are you sure?" And she's like, "Yes, please don't do that." And she's like, "Oh, okay. Well, happy birthday anyway." And so she went off. So fine, dinner's progressing. I was not there, but this is the story I heard. So dinner progressed, and partway through dinner, Christopher said, "Oh my gosh, I forgot my wallet. It's in my truck, so I need to go out and get it." And Emma's like, "Oh, okay." The poor girl really needs to think about these things. As he goes, which I guess he technically did go out to his truck, but as he went out to the hostess station and said to the hostess, "It's my sister's birthday. Can you please get a group of people to go over and sing to her?" Well, the hostess was like, "Sure." He goes out the door to his truck where he stays until this all happens. So Emma's sitting at the table, not thinking or expecting anything. And all of a sudden the hostess comes around and stands by the table, and Emma's like, "Yes." And suddenly all the waiters and waitresses are standing behind her and start singing happy birthday to her. At which point she would like to both melt into the floor and kill her brother, because she's sitting at a table by herself. And she's thinking, everyone around me is probably thinking I came to dinner by myself and had them sing to me. How pathetic does that look? She's telling me the story, and I'm really kind of laughing. It was funny. The image of it just sort of made me chuckle. So they got done singing, and he comes back in, and he's all proud of himself. And she's like, "I'm going to murder you. I can't believe you did that to me." You know, so it was fine. They finished eating. But then a little bit later, some lady who had been there eating at another table, she was leaving, and she stopped by the table, and she said to Christopher, "That was horrible. I cannot believe you did that to your girlfriend. You had them sing to her while you weren't even at the table. She was by herself." And he looked at her, he's like, "This is my sister." And she's like, "Oh, well, in that case, it's okay." And then she looked at Emma and said, "Happy birthday." Oh my gosh. My kids make me laugh. So anyway, since she had already endured that, I figured I didn't need to make her endure much of anything else in public for her birthday. So, we did that. And we're still doing the countdown to college. She started packing clothes this week. She still has a full other week. We don't leave for 10 days. So I'm not really sure what she's planning on wearing between now and then. I guess the same things over and over and just washing them. But you can't get in her room. You used to not be able to get in her room because she had stuff stacked everywhere in piles and, you know, store bags and everything. Now it's more neatly packed, but it's all right sort of in front of the door. I'm like, this is not a good plan. You can't even get in and out of your room. Okay, but whatever. So, what else? Garden, still doing good. The tomato plants aren't looking too much worse than they were. They're definitely not looking real perky, but we're getting a lot of tomatoes. So we've been eating a lot of tomatoes, a lot of zucchini. What else? Oh, we ate the first spaghetti squash. I decided to give those a try because I think they're probably ripe enough, and it was good. It tasted fine, so I'm calling it a win. They're not as deep yellow as they are when you get them in the store, which I thought was weird since it was a store-bought squash that I got the seeds out of. Maybe they'll turn more yellow as they stay on the vines longer. I don't know, but it tasted fine, so that's all that matters. And the peppers, the hot peppers we're still getting tons of. The red peppers are still not turning red, the red bell peppers. And I finally decided to say, screw it. I'm just picking them green and using them because they were starting to rot, which was what I was afraid was going to happen. So we're having non-red red peppers, but they're fine. They taste fine. They're good. I added them to dinner last night. Yummy. What else? My sunflowers are so pretty. I've got so many of those big colorful ones blooming right now. All of the flowers, the cosmos, the zinnias, they're all just gorgeous, and I'm loving them because I can see them when I'm in my kitchen and looking down the hill. I can see them in the garden, and they make me so happy. So can't beat that. I guess that's everything. I'm sure there's other things going on, but I won't keep you anymore. I do have a shop news segment to do because there will be a shop update next week that I want to tell you about on Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to pause here so that I can go grab all the shop stuff to show you, and I will be right back. So hang on. Okay, I'm back. All right, shop news. First of all, the 6 Stripes Sock Club signups. I know, lots of S's, hard to say. They were all this week, and oh my goodness, thank you for your enthusiastic response. We had 111 people sign up. 111. I was not expecting that kind of response at all. Like I told you last week, I had 25 spots that I was offering. I've decided I'm going to up that to 30, only because I feel like I should, because so many people replied, but that's going to be it. And in the signups, I had mentioned that, I reserved the right to increase that number a little bit from 25 if I felt like I needed to. 30 is going to be the cutoff. I closed the signups right before I started recording today at noon, and I will be doing random number generator a little later today to choose those 30 spots. If you put your name in the hat and you're one of those 111 people, you will be getting a message from me, an email message later today or by the end of tomorrow at the very latest, letting you know if you're in the club or not. I wish I could have everybody in. I really do. I can't. I just can't. And it's funny because based on response to the last couple of clubs I did, which the response was a little lower than that, definitely lower than that, I hadn't expected this big of a an outpouring of interest. So that said, again, thank you for showing interest in it. I really wish you all the best of luck if you put your name in. Hopefully you'll be one of the 30. I apologize if you're not, but I will do another club somewhere down the road. So, try again, please. At any rate, be looking for those messages, and you will get a message either way. Whether you're in the club or not in the club, you'll get a message from me. If you don't hear from me by the end of the day tomorrow, Saturday, feel free to message me on Ravelry or email me and say, hey, am I in? Am I not in? Check your spam folder. Sometimes things get filtered into spam, but I will let you know for sure and tell you where to go from there if you are in the club and what needs to happen. So, okay. What else? The end of summer sale is still going on. That's everything that's marked 20% down in the shop. I'm adding a few more things here and there to that, so you might want to go back and check, but that's still happening. Also, the 3rd quarter finished object thread for the Fiber Nymph Dye Works board, that's still open. Please continue to post your things there. You have through the end of September to do that, and then I will do the drawing for the $25 gift certificates after that. I wanted to let you know, I'm sorry, I feel like I've got hair or something in my face that's blowing on me. I've got the ceiling fan on. Anyhow, I'm going to add listings to the shop for sweater lots of yarn. I'm going to start out just doing it with DK and worsted, and you can read the listings to see how that will work. But I do not routinely dye quantities enough in one dye load for anybody to do a sweater with. But if you do want a sweater lot of either a semi-solid or one of my tonal or variegated colorways, I'm happy to do that for you. I will put that listing up in the shop. It'll obviously be a pre-order thing. You know, my turnaround time on those things is usually 4 to 6 weeks. So if you'd like to do that, please feel free. But all of the details about how that will work and how you'll be, you know, charged for that and everything, that will be explained in the listing. So be looking for that. And lastly, I'm doing an update next week on Wednesday. That's August 27th. I wanted to do it on Friday, but since it's a holiday weekend and I'm leaving the following Monday to take Emma to school, that would only give me Saturday to get stuff shipped, and then I wouldn't be here for a week, and I just didn't want to end up having a rush problem like that. So I'm backing it up by 2 days, doing the update on Wednesday, August 27th at 2 p.m. Eastern. And this is going to be my big Halloween colorway update. Now, I'll probably dye some more Halloween colorways, more of these same colorways, you know, for a couple more updates, depending on what sells and what people seem to want more of. But this is like my big update that is nothing but Halloween colorways. So, are you ready? Let's start here. All right, I'm going to start with the Halloween/autumn, I should say. It's not just all Halloween, but it's autumn colorways. So, to begin with, there will be Hijinks. This is a colorway I've had before. Most of these are ones you've seen before. I have 2 new colorways, but this is one you've seen before. So this is Hijinks, and there are 4 skeins of it on the bounce base. Then I have... This was a new one last year. This was Got Candy, and there will be 2 skeins of it on Bounce and 2 on Bedazzled. You're not really seeing this. Oh, there's the sparkle. You can see it. Okay, and then another one that was new last year was A Little Bit Wicked, which that is also 2 will be on Bounce, 2 will be on Bedazzled. So. And then a new Halloween one for this year, I'm calling Party at the Haunted House. And again, 2 on Bounce, 2 on Bedazzled. And I like this. You know, there's only so many variations you can do with your traditional Halloween colorway or colors. So I'm trying to mix them up and make them interesting, and, you know, get them a little off normal. But I like this one because it's got the black, the purple, the orange, and the green all in one. So anyway, so those are the really Halloween specific colorways. I will also, and I don't have them to show you because they're not completely done being processed, is I will have a few sets of the Halloween inversibles, the black and the orange sets. So those will be in the update as well. Okay, now as far as self-striping that is more autumnal colorways, not necessarily Halloween, let's see, where do I want to start? All right, well, I've got Reese's Pieces, which, again, it's not specifically a Halloween colorway, although Reese's Pieces is a candy that you could get for Halloween. But the colors are very Halloween-y, fallish. So there will be, I think, 4 skeins of this on Bounce. Check the listings for the exact number available. Then I've got these 2, which are similar but sort of different. This is Woolly Bear, which is a 2-stripe colorway that I dyed based on the woolly caterpillar, the black and brown woolly caterpillar that you see this time of year. They're supposed to tell you whether winter is going to be bad or not. I've actually not seen any yet this year, so I don't know what that means. So there will be a couple skeins of this, and those are all in Bounce. I think 4 skeins of that actually. And then there's this colorway, my Chatter colorway, which is the reddish brown, the golden brown, and then the dark gray. And that is my Squirrel and Chipmunk colorway. So there, I don't know why it doesn't want to focus, but anyway, there you go. 4 skeins of that, and those are all on Bounce. Then I have, there's a Troll in the Dungeon, which again, not specifically a Halloween or autumn colorway, but the colors are very autumnal. So I decided to add those in. There's 2 on Bounce and 2 on Bedazzled. And the reference is from Harry Potter. The very first Harry Potter movie, there's a troll in the dungeon. So technically that could tie in with Halloween. Okay, then I have Autumn Harvest. Now, I have never done Autumn Harvest as a self-striping yarn before. I have done it as a variegated yarn, and I have done it on fiber as a variegated fiber. I may have done it as a gradient fiber once. I'll tell you what, when I dyed it up as a self-striping, wow, it really, really dyed up differently than it dyes up as a variegated. The colors are much, much more bold and bright. So this is Autumn Harvest, 3-striper with the red, orange, and green. Basically, you know, the colors of the leaves you see in the fall. So 2 on Bounce, 2 on Bedazzled. And then lastly for self-striping, this is a new colorway, and I'm calling it Autumn Rustic. Again, I wanted to try to get those traditional fall colors, but kind of change them up a little bit. So these are all more muted, and this will be a 3-stripe. The burnt red color and then the goldish color. Those will be your primary stripes. They'll be wider in this, and then in between them you'll have the this darker golden green and this sort of a medium dark brown. Those are narrower stripes in this one. So 4 stripes, 2 wide, 2 narrow. And again, 2 in Bounce, 2 in Bedazzled. So, okay, that's all of the self-striping. I do also have this colorway, and again, this is one I don't know that I've ever done on yarn. I've done it on fiber, and again, it dyed up really differently on yarn. And this is Midnight in the Pumpkin Patch. It's a variegated yarn. I believe there's 2 on Sunshine and 2 on Bedazzled. They're just in the fiber. They're actually more bold, which is weird because usually fiber tends out more muted than yarn, but for whatever reason, this is a little bit more muted than it usually turns out. But it's definitely a dark gray with some orange and some green washed through it. It's a really cool, subtle color, I think. So there will be those. And then lastly, there will be 4, I believe, 4 flurry kits in fall colors of brown and orange. I'm sorry, I already put them in the bag, so they're harder to see. But it's the dark brown and the pumpkin orange. And then you get the coupon code for the flurry kit, for the flurry pattern, the cowl. So there will be 4 of those in the shop. So that will be everything. That is the Halloween update. That will be the Halloween/fall colorway update that I will be doing next Wednesday, or this coming Wednesday, August 27th at 2 p.m. Eastern. And I just got to say, I'm really proud of myself for planning ahead this year, because so many times it's like late September before I'm even thinking about dyeing Halloween colorways for you guys. So this year I've planned ahead, and you're getting them earlier so that you may actually have time to knit something Halloweeny or fallish for yourself. Isn't that exciting? I love it when I plan. You know, when a plan comes together like that, it's perfect. So, alrighty, that is everything I have for you this week. Please feel free to PM me if you have any questions. I will put show notes up in the 90% Knitting board, so you can check there if you have any questions or ask questions. And that's everything. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope the weather's nice for you, whatever you're doing, and I will see you next time. Bye.